Hi friends, this is Geo, and welcome to my channel. Today's story is called Lions on the Bridge. Sit back and enjoy. The man stood by the west side of the bridge, guarded by the two lions, his left foot positioned on the ledge, right foot far behind him as he loosened his hamstring, gazing eastward to Anastasia Island. Behind us, the sun kissed the horizon, painting the islands in shades of red and gold. The air pulsed with the day's pungent exhaust, mingling with the exotic music blasting from the New Delhi restaurant. Spices hung in the atmosphere, cumin, turmeric, and a faint hint of saffron. Inside, something sizzled, promising tastes I had only imagined. Animated voices rose and fell in a language I didn't understand, filling the air with life. I'd never stepped inside. Too intimidated, really, but I wanted to. A fire engine siren screamed above the din of honking horns and the rumble of engines. An ambulance howled in reply, and their echo bounded off the buildings. By the marina, boats swayed gently, catching the fiery glow of the setting sun. What's the saying? Red sky at night, sailor's delight. I only saw his back, a muscular frame in a red compression shirt, hair buzzed short, a Monster energy drink in hand. Black wireless earbuds tucked him away from the noise of the world. A kid on a buzzing skateboard passed, cruising by tourists and lovers holding hands, belting out lyrics only he heard. Somebody swore loudly as their large coffee cup hit the pavement, vanilla cream splattering the sidewalk. Still, the man stared at the island, unmoving. The sun bathed the islands in fading gold and elongated shadows. Though modest in height, they stood their eternal vigil at the entrance of the Bridge of Lions. Completed in 1927, the bridge spanned the Matanzas River, connecting St. Augustine to Anastasia Island. Below, the river lapped gently, though its soft rhythm was lost beneath the hum of traffic. I didn't know him from the boy next door, but something about this lone figure with the golden light hitting his form just right drew my gaze to him. He jumped from side to side, then back and forth, calling out his moves with all the fervor of a fighter in the ring. Uppercut, he shouted, punching the air with conviction. Strike from the left, hook from the right, jab, jab, body blow, uppercut from the right, and knockout. Standing still, he raised his drink to the fading sun, arms thrust triumphantly upward, like a hero savoring a hard-earned victory. The crowd goes wild. His boyfriend jumps the rings to plant a kiss. The referee counts 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and yells, "He's out! Ladies and gentlemen, we have an upset. Presenting our new middleweight champion, Lev Cartwright." I approached, heading home via an evening walk along the river. We don't have rivers back in Vegas. The nearest real river is the Colorado, marking the border between Nevada and Arizona. It's nothing like the Matanzas River. The air smelled of cologne, his maybe, a high-end kind of musk that hinted of an invitation. Outside of work, I knew no one, except my roommate, who also happened to be my cousin. Every time I tried to flirt with someone at the bar, I ended up drowning my sorrows in a six-pack of Miller High Life. I'll accept this man's unwritten invitation. It'll end the same way like all the other times. Me, on the couch, binge-watching Amazon, and drinking whatever beer happened to be in the fridge. He placed his drink on the lion's ledge, bent his right leg back, and held it with his hand, slowly counting to 10. A calm, deliberate quad stretch. Afterward, he did the same thing with his left leg. As I neared, The faint strains of Blinding Lights by The Weeknd played from his earbuds, blending with the distant boats motoring along. He stood, lost in thought, watching the sun dip below the horizon, the last light of the day, highlighting his body. After one last swig from his monster, he tossed it into an olive-green trash can next to the bridge. The can clanked as it hit something in the trash. I stepped close. My nerves in my stomach played a rousing game of hopscotch. Somehow, I channeled a bit of cheerfulness and said, "That was one beauty of a sunset, friend. Name's Quade." He gave me the look I always received, a polite way of saying, "Not tonight." It was a nice one, he said, easing an inch away from me. Discreet, but undeniable. Trying to keep the small talk moving, I said, "Out for a job?" He raised an eyebrow, equal parts disbelief and amusement, eyeing me like I had just swallowed my own phone. "No," he replied, his tone lifting slightly, as if asking a question. "I got off work a while ago." Oh, crap on a stick. But I didn't say that out loud, but it was dead center in my embarrassed mind. "Sorry, I guess I'm a little nervous. I meant jogging." "It's obvious you're not at work. Who goes to their job looking that good? That shirt looks perfect on you. I wish I could wear something like..." Oh, never mind. Oh, God. I'm rambling. Just ignore me. Yeah, not my best introduction. He rolled his eyes, but a tiny smile dawned. "No harm done. And yes, I'm about to start. Do you jog?" he asked, his tone carefree. I hoped I wasn't blatantly drooling when he turned to face me. That shirt looked spray-painted onto his body, sculpting every line, ab, pec, collarbone. The works. I prayed he didn't catch me giving him the full up and down. "I did, back in high school, but I haven't much since," I said. At least I hadn't made a complete fool of myself. At least not yet. "I'm an IT for colonial information storage, so I don't have time to exercise. I mean, I probably could make time, but I don't. Maybe that's why I don't get a lot of dates. I mean, I'm a little out of shape, and everybody at the bar always wants someone with that perfect body." There I go again. Word vomiting when I'm stressed. My roommate and cousin, Liv, said I suffered from a terminal disease, overshareitis. So far, it's been terminal to all my relationships. Why is she always right? He tightened a shoe. When he stood up, his lips pursed before softening into a thoughtful grin. "Bars aren't everything, Quade," he said, his tone calm and his posture relaxed. "Meeting people doesn't always involve alcohol." There was something about his effortless cool, the way his casual confidence made the words feel genuine. "Life's better with a good partner," he continued. "Why don't you join me, just to the other side of the bridge and back? It's a great way to get to know someone. Plus, no hangover." He extended his hand, his grip firm. "Name's Lev." I glanced down at my clothes. Brown Florsheim loafers, beige chinos, and a Billy Reed green plaid linen short-sleeved shirt. Boring at its finest. A simple black pearl bracelet sparkled on my wrist. A gift from my ex who snagged it on discount at the swap market and borrowed money from me to pay for it. My guilty pleasure wasn't my ex, but the bracelet. I'm worth it, right? Lev's warm brown eyes and laid-back smile were my undoing. The snug red fabric outlining his abs might have contributed to my inability to think. Before I could stop myself, the words tumbled out. "Yes, I'd love to, and I'll do my best to keep up, and maybe, I can take you out to dinner sometime. My treat. But, no alcohol. You probably don't need the carbs or the calories. Maybe I will give your advice a try because I'm new in town, and I don't know very many places or people. Crap on a stick. I'm rambling again, aren't I? Yup. My mouth has no filter. Lev chuckled, his eyes lingering on the bridge's center as it levered closed. The mechanical hum drowning out the boats and the cars. At least you're honest, Lev said. Let's get started. I didn't know it was a drawbridge, I said, squinting as a tourist boat chugged away. Its noise, a random mix of music and laughter, carrying over the water. It's called a double bascule bridge, and it opens on the hour and half hour, Lev said. That's why you caught me. I was waiting for it to close. How big is it? We don't have anything like this back in Vegas, I said, then immediately regretted it. I've only been here a few weeks, because it's a new job and all. Crap. Overshare-itis strikes again. Is there a cure? 1,545 feet, one way, Lev said with a chuckle. It's 0.6 of a mile, a light evening jog if you run to Anastasia Island and back. We started running, Lev effortlessly keeping pace with a guy in sensible shoes. By the time I made it to the Anastasia side of the bridge, my breath decided it would rather go sightseeing than jogging. I bent over, almost double, bracing myself against one of the two lions on this side of the bridge, my breath as heavy as the dark waters below, and I silently prayed that a bit of the lion's calm stoicism might rub off on me. The lions on this side of the bridge were made of granite. Unlike the original two, which were made of marble, the granite lion stood unflinching, unyielding, strong against the relentless current below. The day's heat radiated into my palm, calming me as I glanced at Lev. He was hardly breathing. The lighthouse lit up, its beams stretching for miles. Black and white spiraled up to the top where rested the lantern, bright red even in the fading light. It rotates every 30 seconds, Lev said, noticing where I stared. People call it the night mark. We don't have those in Vegas either, I said. And then, here I go again. I can't stop. I mean, we're landlocked. No oceans for hundreds of miles. You could drive to Los Angeles, but that's 4 or 5 hours away, and the traffic is terrible. That is, if you drive, which I don't. Overshare-itis strikes again. I had to get it under control before our little jog is our last jog. Quickly, I finished, which is why it's lucky my cousin lives so close to where I work. Afraid Lev would turn away from a blabbermouth like me, I bit my lip, forcing myself silent. The lights along the bridge flickered to life, casting warm golden circles against the descending night. 2 things while you stop to take a breath, Lev said, his half-grin sending a ripple of lightness in my chest. The lighthouse is 185 feet tall, and I'll take you up on your offer. What offer? I asked, confused. The horn of a boat sounded below, echoing from the water. We started walking back, savoring the quiet companionship that followed. The pause gave me a chance to drift closer to him, close enough to catch the faint scent of his cologne, warm and inviting. For 1,545 feet, I allowed myself to enjoy the moment, the company, and the rare chance of being with someone new. Dinner? He asked, his eyes lightly crinkling with that easy, disarming smile. Shocked, my thoughts tangled into knots after so many lonely nights on the couch eating takeout pizza. Was I really about to go on a date? A quote floated through my mind. Love, like rivers, moves around obstacles, but always finds its way. Now? The word slipped out, soft, hesitant, as heat warmed my cheeks. A single word response from me? The queen of oversharing? I liked this guy. A lot. You offered, Lev said, his tone warm, his brown eyes warmer. They focused on me, into me, shredding my defenses, making me feel as if I'd known him forever. I'd be flattered, I stammered. Smooth, right? Note the sarcasm. Did I always get this flustered around cute guys? Especially one in skin-tight red? I twisted one of the black pearls on my bracelet, unconsciously, as if searching for an anchor. At the center of the bridge, the double drawbridge slowly opened, its mechanical whir harmonizing with the gentle warble of the water below. I bit my lip, hiding my smile. The river stretched out before us, a ribbon of endless possibilities flowing toward the horizon, its deep waters restraining a passion it barely contained. We'd been talking longer than I realized. "Where do you want to go?" I asked, my voice breaking, deciding between eagerness and nervousness. Nervousness won. I desperately wanted to keep this conversation alive. "I like all kinds of foods, especially Italian. My mom said that I must have been Italian in a past life." "Why couldn't I relax around guys that aren't family?" His warm brown eyes locked on mine again, and my thoughts fluttered away, carried like a million butterflies in the wind. Why can't I keep a coherent thought in my head when he looked at me like that? Better question, is it wrong to kiss someone you've only just met? We paused as the boats chugged under the bridge, their engines rumbling, the water churning in their wake. Before us, the drawbridge slowly lowered, its mechanical grind fading into the rhythmic hum of passing cars. Lev leaned casually against a light pole, bathed in the soft glow of its light. "You choose," he said, his lips quirking to the left as he stole a glance at me. "Is there a place you've wanted to try?" he asked, his tone playful, teasing in the gentlest way. My stomach clenched. It was back, the familiar queasy sensation I always felt when trying to connect with someone. Why couldn't I let myself relax? I shuffled awkwardly, my fingers twisting the black pearl bracelet on my wrist as if it could tether me to the moment. "I've never tried Indian food," I blurted. My words tumbled out too fast. "I mean, there are a lot of Indian restaurants in Vegas, but I've never been to one." I paused for breath, unable to stop oversharing. "I've heard they have fantastic food, and there's one at the end of the bridge, but it is getting late, and that's not a problem for me because I don't report to work until 10 o'clock, but I don't know your work schedule." Lev placed a finger to my lips, stopping my rambling. "Indian is fine. I've been to the New Delhi restaurant. It serves a fantastic paneer butter masala." He smiled at me, as if he could see the jumble of thoughts swirling in my head. His fingers tapped the pole, his gaze lingering long on me, the warm look turning my insides into melted butter. "They make a mean samosa," he said. "Is it spicy? I don't do well with spicy," I asked, my heart pounding way too hard, each beat a statement declaring, "I'm doing it again." Oversharing, overthinking, trapped in the endless loop of my own messed up thoughts. Would Lev stick around for this? Would I? Guys had left before, and Lev would leave too, just like they did. For once, the sadness found a way to silence me. The sun sank below the horizon at the exact moment the bridge closed, an end to the day and our conversation. As we jogged on, a question flared in my mind. Did it symbolize the end of our fleeting relationship as well? Golden spotlights illuminated the two lions at the end of the bridge, their shadows stretching far into the rippling dark water. We both paused, catching our breath. Well, I was catching my breath. Lev didn't even breathe heavy. Perfectly composed, not a drop of sweat. How did he do it? Me? I was embarrassingly drenched. He gestured with his thumb, pointing at the New Delhi restaurant. You know what they say. Time and tide melts the snowman, he said, his lips curling into a playful flirt. I'm starving. The bright red sign for the New Delhi restaurant glowed boldly above its open hardwood doors, releasing the wild rhythm of Bollywood music into the night. The building's walls were painted a deep saffron yellow, accented with dark green trim framing the doors and windows. Large glass panes offered a glimpse inside, a lively crowd eating, laughing, enjoying each other's company. I inhaled deeply, catching the aroma of exotic spices I couldn't name. A fleeting impulse tempted me to take Lev's hand and lead him in, but I kept my hand at my side, holding back in spite of the excitement buzzing through my body. A waitress in a blue sari shouted, at the chef perhaps, her words rapid, impossible to understand. Lanterns adorned with ornamental patterns hung from the eaves, leaving mosaic shadows along saffron walls and the outdoor diners beneath. Since I had offered to buy, I escorted Lev inside a place I'd never stepped foot in. The scents of cinnamon and curry were a festival to my nose. The subtle lighting heightened the romance. The music, wild and loud, left me wanting to dance. I had stepped into another world, a world with golden saffron walls, turquoise accents, bronze lanterns on every table, and a painted mandala rich in reds and oranges on the far wall. A framed poster greeted us at the entrance, a Bollywood movie advertising, Ta Tiger, starring Salman Khan and Katrina Kaif. It featured the hit song Mash Allah. A silk-wrapped woman stared back at me from the vibrant image. That was all I could understand from the swirling Hindi script. The poster was covered with several signatures. A framed and signed poster? Clearly, someone was a huge fan. I typed the title into my phone to stream later, if I could find it. A dozen tables hugged the walls, each adorned with an intricate candle-lit lantern that cast geometric patterns across the room. Multicolored lamps dangled from the ceiling, one above each table, and at least 20 scattered about the room, their glow creating a kaleidoscope of light. The tables in the room's center were pushed aside, giving way for a singer and 2 partially clad belly dancers. The waitress led us to a carved teak table, with an ornate filigree lantern in the center. The candle scented the air with the scents of hot wax and jasmine. The golden light cast lace-like shadows across the table. The music swelled, its tempo increasing. I felt exhilarated, alive. I'm here, on a date, and I haven't been turned down. Yet. The singer wore green diaphanous silks draped on her shoulders and danced in the center of the room. The belly dancers twirled about her, a man with a saber and a woman with a pale face veil. The woman, her stomach undulating in time to the music, hypnotized all in the room with her graceful fluidity. But I stared at the man. The man spun, his saber raised high, glinting in the dim light. I breathed deeply, savoring the unfamiliar scents, cinnamon and cumin lingering in the air, while hints of cardamom and turmeric danced lightly about us. Ankle bells jingled as the dancers twirled and shimmied. "What do you think?" Lev asked, flashing a smile as he threw his arm around the chair next to him. "What's their food like?" I asked, my gaze drifting to the golden designs on the walls. "If you don't want spicy, just tell them," Lev replied, his voice casual and inviting. A waitress wearing a blue and gold sari approached, a small red jewel glinting on her forehead. She handed each of us a menu and flashed a welcoming smile, and said, "Welcome to the New Delhi. I am Ashani, and it is my pleasure to serve you tonight." She took out a small notebook and a pen topped with a colorful elephant head. "Would you like any drinks to start off with?" "You're safe in my hands," Lev said confidently. "Allow me." I nodded, scanning the menu. Aside from the curry, I'd never heard of any of these dishes. I'm in trouble. Leaning forward with an easy smile, Lev turned to Ishani. 2 Pana Amar Pakshi mocktails, please. Lev opened up his menu, flipped through a couple of pages, and settled on one. Quade, everything I've tried is fantastic, he said, glancing at me. But my absolute favorite is the paneer butter masala. That's what I'm having. I've never really eaten Indian food. I don't even know what a paneer is, or a pana, I admitted with a nervous chuckle. I have to admit, the food here smells incredible. What is paneer butter masala? Ishani smiled, using her pen to point out an entry in my menu. I leaned in to read. Decadent cubes of soft Indian cheese in a tomato-based curry, with hints of butter, turmeric, cumin, and coriander. A feast for the taste buds, delivering a warmth perfect for an evening out with that special someone. Grinning, I handed the menu back to her and said, Make it 2. And we'll have aldi chawal for both of us. Maybe some naan to start, Lev said, glancing at me for approval. I nodded. I can't believe I'm sitting at the table with him, and I'm relaxing. Ishani left, leaving the 2 of us staring at each other. The golden atmosphere, dim candlelit lanterns, exotic music, did something I hadn't felt since I'd left Vegas. My gut relaxed, my shoulders eased, and I enjoyed the smells of food frying in the kitchen. We talked about our jobs, about jogging. He told me of an upcoming 5K he wanted to run in. The waitress returned with a basket full of fried flatbread, a small bowl of garlic butter, and our drinks. The fried bread filled the air with the smell of fresh bread. Here you go, boys, she winked at us. Naan served with garlic butter and 2 Pana Amar Pashi mocktails. She set the drinks by us, a tempting fusion of kiwi, strawberry, and mango, topped with a slice of starfruit. I've never heard of Pana Amar, however you say it, I said, secretly thrilled when Lev secretly glanced at me and secretly smiled. I secretly smiled too. God, I hope I didn't blush. The waitress gave us a knowing chuckle. As you might have guessed, we love Bollywood around here. I grew up singing all the big hits. Anyway, Pana Amar Pashi translated means Emerald Phoenix. Setting the basket of naan in the middle of the table, she set napkins in front of us and a knife. When Bollywood was in its heyday, back in the 1960s, there was a legendary actress named Vijay Anthamala, who made a fantasy film audiences fell in love with, Princess Phoenix and the Emerald Kingdom. That was my favorite film when I was a kid. A small container of garlic butter joined the naan. Lev gestured for me to take the first slice. I quickly took it, shyly peeking back at Lev. Ishani smiled, and quickly, odd. I bet she thought, isn't young love romantic? Because that was what I was thinking. Ishani continued, think of it like Wizard of Oz, except it was made in India. She played Princess Phoenix, the good witch who saved her kingdom. Well, at one of her famous parties, the caterers came up with a drink in her honor, and now you're enjoying it today. The singer finished her song, and the belly dancers left to rest. Music I didn't recognize came from the speakers. Romantic, setting the mood, and I relaxed even more. Casually, I leaned back, sipping the Pana Amar Pakshi. Strawberries, kiwis, a delicious fruity drink. I sipped it and realized, Lev, there's no alcohol. He sipped his drink. Most places make it with sparkling wine, but I don't do much drinking. I like it better as a mocktail. You don't drink? I asked. Never acquired the taste, he said, leaning forward and gently looking at me, as if weighing how much he could trust me. I must have passed the test because he added, when I was 12, Dad got drunk like he did every night, but this time was different. He was drunk so bad he wouldn't remember his name for days, let alone what he did. His voice dropped almost to a whisper. Was it bad, living with him, I asked, afraid I was wading through some seriously sensitive territory. Lev took another nan, smeared a little garlic butter on it, and looked at the lantern, the light reflecting the hurt behind his eyes. He never hit me, if that's what you mean. He was a good dad most of the time, but that night, Dad hit another car, totaled ours, completely destroyed the other car. Some people were hurt, a woman and her 2 daughters. Lev's hand fell softly on the table, hesitant, vulnerable. I laid my hand on his. Was it too much? Too soon? Hoping the tender touch would provide some comfort. My breath quickened as I felt the warmth of his hand, pulling me further into his story. I'm sorry, I said, putting as much concern in my tone as I could. Though the lantern's flickering light cast shadows across his face, it didn't hide his pain. Lev turned his hand over, clasping mine, tracing my knuckles with his thumb. It went to trial, he said, eyes focused on his memories. Dad served 6 months in county lockup, followed by probation and rehab. They made him pay, I softly replied. Lev subtly nodded. Dad never touched alcohol again, made sure we never had it in the house. Lev looked so put together. I'd placed him on a pedestal, thinking of nothing more than a hot body, never realizing what he'd lived through. He had an inner strength I hadn't guessed. Did I admire him for it? I think I did. It reminded me of my family. We never had anything like alcoholism to deal with, but living with 3 brothers and 1 sister wasn't a slice of apple pie either. Tommy, age 17, was the dreamer of the family. He was always drawing his anime robots and figures. Next were the twins, age 12, Ben and Danny. As different as 2 identical brothers could be, Ben had a knack for making everyone laugh, a talent that had gotten him sent to the principal's office a couple of times. Danny was the family athlete, always pushing himself. He begged Dad for his own weights, running shoes, football, anything and everything sports-related. And then there was my baby sister, 5-year-old Ellie. Can we say spoiled? The only girl in a household of boys. Who could blame us? She was the princess, and we all loved her dearly. The memories turned to melancholy. I hadn't seen them since I moved to St. Augustine. The pang of homesickness hit hard. Vegas had never felt so far. Lost in my own bittersweet memories, it took me a moment to realize that Lev still stared into the lantern, trapped with his own melancholy. His haunted look melted my heart. I longed to take the seat next to him, wrap my arms about him, and tell him everything would be all right. The silence lingered, somber, a tender awkwardness. So you don't drink? I said, hoping to ease us back into conversation. I'm probably the only person in St. Augustine, he said. His gaze left the lantern to focus back on me. A warm smile lingered on his face, pushing the shadows away. At least the only person I've met. Sorry, I guess I got a little deep for a first date. I don't mind, I said, enjoying the camaraderie we had formed. What Lev didn't say told me volumes. Living with a reformed alcoholic couldn't have been easy for him, or his family. Trusting me, a stranger he'd met only an hour ago, took courage. Maybe I'd met a friend, or something more. I didn't pull my hand away. Neither did Lev. I've always loved the music here, Lev said, his lips slightly quivering as he gave my hand a gentle squeeze. It's great, I said, as I realized I wasn't fighting over sharitis any longer. Was Quade the first person I really relaxed around since coming to Florida? We talked. That isn't the right word. Our souls communed with one another as we shared our lives, our dreams, our passions. Had I ever connected with someone as deep as this? We'd only just met, yet my chest ached when I saw him. Ishani returned with our meals, subtly smirking as if she had guessed the truth. "Here you go, paneer butter masala and haldi chawal with extra naan," she said, her voice warm and teasing, as if a knowing chuckle was about to escape. She placed the plates before us, setting a second basket of naan in the middle of the table. She winked. "I know just what you need to make this night special. You can thank me with your tip. It's the song Kesariya from Brahmastra, and you two remind me of it in the best way," she said, her tone flirting, suggesting that she was personally going to see that our night was the most romantic night in the history of Florida. A moment later, the music began, a gentle, tender piece sung about love, or so I gathered because I couldn't understand a word. I glanced at Lev, feeling the warm glow of something deep. Why can't all my dates be like this? I remembered back to the bridge, to the buff guy in a skin-tight red shirt. When had this become two strangers getting to know another, and shifted into something more? Lev met my gaze, his eyes soft, sultry. The candle flickered, its golden light and shadows, lacework on the table. The moment, our heartbeat stretching into eternity, connected us on a level I'd never felt with anyone. The music gifted us a fragile harmony, easing into our souls, gently releasing the edge separating us, making us one. The belly dancers returned to the room, keeping time to the slower, more romantic rhythm of this song. Ishani sauntered over, a wicked grin on her face. "Ready to get romantic?" The two belly dancers twirled over, shimmied, shaking, hips gyrating. Girl danced over by Lev, the guy by me. Ishani laughed, grabbed our hands and pulled us to our feet. The belly dancers led us to the floor, dancing around us. Lev and I stood at the center of the room, the lanterns and lamps throwing multicolored shadows on us, the dancers spinning about us. The music changed. Ishani yelled, "Mashallah!" The chefs, waiters, waitresses, even a man that looked like the owner came out, dancing, waving hands in the air, and clapping to the rhythm. During the chorus, everybody shouted, "Mashallah! Mashallah!" Some people sang along with the music, some shouted. The beat pulsed through the floor into my feet, feeding my excitement. A woman got up out of her booth and began dancing. A man jumped up, grabbing hold of her waist, and they spun around, a wild song that sped life even faster than before. Everyone joined in. "Mashallah! Mashallah!" Lev laughed, an infectious sound filled with unbridled ecstasy. Giving into the rhythm, I grabbed hold of Lev's waist, laughing along with him. Together we began spinning, surrendering to the excitement around us. His hands held my waist, his eyes zoomed in on mine, relaxing, as if releasing years of pressure, a prophecy of future intimacy. Colors blurred around us, the beat thrumming through my body. I became breathless, staring into those windows, into his depths. The music, the dancing faded, leaving us alone. In a blink, our closeness, the wildness, the shared intimacy of our glance. We leaned in, as one, and kissed. The gentleness of that touch surged along every nerve. The world spun around us. People cheering, dancing, yelling, clapping for us. It didn't matter. I wrapped my fingers in his hair. He pulled me close, the brush of his breath on my skin, the faint smell of him, the subtle taste of the Pana Amar Pakshi on his lips. The world resumed. We stepped apart, eyes only on each other. I held my breath. He did too. Suddenly, everybody paused, even the music. The male dancer leaned his head back and gave a ululating, high-pitched trilling call that lasted at least 10 seconds, ending with a yow, a zagarit. And then the music restarted, lasting only one more chorus, with the crowd all shouting one final, "Mashallah, mashallah, mashallah." We returned to our table. Between the jog, the night air, the dancing, the kiss, the adrenaline, we had both relaxed around each other. We talked until late. Ishani refilling our virgin Pana Amarpakshi drinks. Even brought us a plate of samosas, their deep-fried crispiness a perfect excuse to keep us talking well past bedtime. The samosas were on the house, of course, and Ishani even stopped by for 5 minutes to share them with us. For the first time in a long time, somebody accepted me as me. He didn't care if I suddenly rushed into oversherification. He let me do me. Did that mean we had a chance for a second date? An idea formed, but I had to be sneaky about it. As I got up to pay our bill, this place required paying as you left, I performed a quick search on my phone. Plans just fell into place. Making sure to leave a generous tip for Ishani, I returned to Lev, and we walked out into the cool air, the bridge of lions lit in the magical glow of the lampposts. I turned to Lev, clasping my fingers around his neck. His hands tenderly held my waist. "I've something I want to ask you," we both said at exactly the same time. I hadn't touched anything alcoholic this entire night, yet I felt giddy, like I could dance just like the people inside had, for the rest of the night. "You first," I said, my heart beating as fast as the rhythm from the song tonight. With a smile, he said, "I was going to ask if you wanted to join me every night for a jog. And the occasional out to dinner?" His eyes were bright, biting his lip as if unsure of my response. "Your turn." I took a deep breath, suddenly afraid I was going too far. "I had a really good time tonight, and I would love to go jogging with you every night. But why do we have to wait until tomorrow? Because I really like you, and you're right, we had a lot of fun tonight, even though we didn't drink. I mean, we did drink, but nothing that would make us tipsy." "Jobbing? Breathe," he whispered, lightly grinning as he leaned in close, his lips dangerously close, kissably close. I spoke too fast for even me to understand. "I meant jogging. Crap on a stick. I did it again. What if we went back to your apartment and streamed A Da Tiger? It's on Amazon. I checked. Or we could go back to my place. It's only a couple of blocks, and I'm sure my cousin wouldn't mind us watching the flat screen, as long as we kept the volume low." I didn't get a chance to finish my sentence. He interrupted me with a kiss. Epilogue. A year later, we returned to the New Delhi restaurant, holding hands. Not as guests, but more than guests. We had been here almost every week since we first met, and wouldn't stop any time soon. Today was a special day. Lev and I had just left the reception hall, our new gold rings on our fingers. The New Delhi restaurant had prepared a feast just for us and our wedding party. Ishani, the belly dancers, the singer, and even the chefs were out front cheering as we approached. We had the seats of honor, our family and friends nearby, with virgin Pana Amarpakshis for everyone. Lev leaned over, his voice barely above a bedroom whisper. "I told you when we first met that life's better with a good partner." My heart soared as I whispered back, "I found him." The end. Thank you, everybody, for joining me on this journey. I appreciate it. I really do. And thank you for all your concern and your love and wishes. That's helped me recover. I'll see you next time. Peace and hugs, everybody. I love you all.